Relax and take notes while I take totes. Relax and take notes while I take totes of the marijuana smoke. Relax and take notes while I take totes. Relax and take notes while I take totes of the marijuana smoke.
The Audacity Podcast and The Man on the Street gives you 15 hood movies you must see and have in your movie collections. 1. Boys in the Hood. One of the best urban films of all time, John Singleton's debut in the film industry depicted the lives of three separate individuals growing up as kids and adolescents in the streets of the Los Angeles section of South Central. Boys in the Hood became an instant classic in film, and not just within the urban community, as this film featured Ice Cube, Lawrence Fishburne, Cuba Gooding Jr., and Nia Long. 2. Menace to Society. A group of friends living and trying to cope with the street life of South Central, Menace to Society showcases the struggles that individuals have with LA's gang and street culture and the battles they have trying to maintain through the madness and hopefully find another way, if it is not too late. Menace to Society featured Jada Pinkett Smith, Lawrence Tate, Samuel L. Jackson, and others. 3. Juice. With things going from bad to worse, a group of kids living and residing in the streets of New York City have inner turmoil among themselves after a planned robbery goes completely wrong. Juice was Omar Epps and Tupac's first starring roles in film. 4. New Jack City. Starring Wesley Snipes and Ice-T, while also featuring Chris Rock in one of his earlier roles, New Jack City highlights a fictional drug crew, led by Nino Brown, and their massive control over the local trade. Through the infiltration of an undercover officer played by Ice-T, fans watch the highs and the lows of the drug game and the downfall of a top kingpin. 5. Belly. A robbing crew from Queens, New York decided to switch lanes and enter the drug game. At first they were met with much success, but when jealousy came the trouble began. Featuring and starring DMX and Nas as the lead roles, Sincere and Tommy eventually grow tired of the fast life and begin to find themselves. 6. Colors. One of the most impactful hood movies of all time, due to the fact this film somewhat glorified the life Los Angeles gang culture and brought the Crips and Bloods to the world. Colors followed two police officers as they tried to deal with life while working in Los Angeles gang-infested neighborhoods. 7. Set It Off. A rag to riches story, at least briefly, as a group of four girls, played by Queen Latifah, Vicia A. Fox, and Jada Pinkett Smith, take their chances at robbing banks as a way to get back at society until their last attempt leads to tragedy. 8. Fresh. Documenting a young kid that navigates his way through the streets of New York City, while outsmarting and outwitting the toughest and the hardest, all to save himself and his family. 9. King of New York. Frank White, played by Christopher Walken, controls everything in the streets of New York, with the help of his powerful lawyers, connections, and street goons. Frank White had the whole city in the palm of his hands, from the drug game to the city's politics, everyone had to answer to Frank White. 10. Paid in Full. Based on a true story, Paid in Full is a non-fictional movie that highlights the lives of three Harlem kingpins back in the 1980s. During New York's crack era, there were numerous kingpins and hustlers throughout the city. Paid in Full displayed the life of three Harlem legends, AZ, Rich Porter, and Alpo. 11. Dead Presidents. This action film, directed by the Hughes brothers and featuring Lorenz Tate and Chris Tucker, depicts a heist of old bills, retired from circulation. It also addresses the issue of Black Americans' involvement in the Vietnam War and their subsequent disillusionment with progressive social issues and civil rights back home in the United States, during the 1960s. 12. Sugar Hill. Wesley Snipes stars as Romello Scuggs and his brother Ray Nathan. Michael Wright, a high-ranking drug dealer who tries to get out of the life and start anew with his girlfriend Melissa, Teresa Randall, but the transition is tragically difficult. 13. Clockers. Another Spike Lee joint starring Mekhi Phifer as Strike, who is a small-time drug for Rodney Little, portrayed by Delroy Lindo, who wants Strike to kill a former dealer who stole from him. This crime drama shows the relationship between young drug pushers in the projects of Brooklyn living hard, dangerous lives, trapped between their drug bosses and the detectives out to stop them. 14. Blue Hill Avenue. Four friends enter the drug trade in Boston in the late 1970s. Starring Alan Payne as Tristan and Clarence Williams III as crime boss Benny. They quickly rise in the drug game. However, as the 1970s pass to the 2000s, a police investigation threatens to ignite a violent feud among the tight-knit friends. 15. Blood In, Blood Out. Based on the true life experiences of poet Jimmy Santiago Baca, the film focuses on three young men, Damian Chapa, Jesse Borrego, Benjamin Bratt, as they start out as members of a street gang in East Los Angeles. Now that you have watched and added these classic hood movies to your collections, here are a few others to look for. Honorable mention hood movies. Baby Boy. Another classic film directed by John Singleton and featuring Tyrese in one of his most notable roles, following him and his struggles growing from a boy to a man. American Me. A film depicting the start and the beginning of Southern California's most notorious gang, the Mexican Mafia. I'm 'Bout It. Starring Master P in one of the best underground hood movies that was centered around living and surviving in New Orleans' Third Ward Calliope projects. Deep Cover. Lawrence Fishburne stars in this classic as a police officer that goes too far into character, battling trying not to lose himself, while being undercover. South Central. A former reputable gang leader of South Central Gang, came home from prison to find his son on the same path of destruction that he once was. Above the Rim. Where the Streets Meet Basketball, starring the late Tupac in one of his most iconic roles, alongside Marlon Wayans, Dwayne Martin, Leon, and Wood Harris. In Too Deep. A police officer eager to make a difference gets in too deep as undercover officer, played by Omar Epps, goes above and beyond to take down Kingpin named God, played by LL Cool J. Shot as a movie based on a successful Jamaican drug crew that was destined to control the streets, but find many roadblocks and obstacles on their way to the top. Ghost Dog. Starring Forrest Whitaker as a hitman hired by the mafia, well trained in the samurai. Hustle and Flow. An Oscar award-winning film about a pimp trying to change his life and switch gears and make it as a rapper in the city of Memphis. Dangerous Minds. A teacher, Michelle Pfeiffer, tries her best to educate students who are entrapped by their environment. Mi Vida Loca. Another unknown classic within the genre of hood movies that follows a group of girls growing up around the gang culture of East Los Angeles. The Substitute. A substitute teacher who discovers that there is a drug ring at his school and enlists his former military comrades to put an end to it.